Okay, today we have Shubh Hamirwasia. He's a content creator who creates content around health, food, recovery, fitness, and aspects. He's certified in wait, let me just check it out. ACSM and ACE, if I'm not wrong, and many more certifications around nutrition and sports medicine. Uh, First of all, thank you, Shubh, for coming on to this. I would appreciate you
Thanks for
taking your
calling me.
time.
Thanks
So
for calling me.
let me just start with something which is your area. How did you figure out about Ironman? What made you interested in that? But before that, just give a brief context of what Ironman is for all the beginners out there.
So Ironman's a triathlon.
Okay.
Basically, that three sports back to back: swimming, cycling, and running. All three long distance. Ironman's a company and Ironman's a distance. So the full Ironman distance is it's called Ironman 140. That distance is 3.8 kilometers of swimming, uh, then 180 kilometers cycling, and then 42 kilometers running. So you finish with a full marathon. And then there's the Ironman 70.3, which is the half of that: 1.9 kilometers swimming, or 90 kilometers cycling, and 21 kilometers running. All this back to back in one go. So that is what Ironman is.
Okay, how did you figure out about Ironman? Where did you first read about it?
So I knew triathlons as a thing existed. I didn't know they were called Ironmans or anything. And December of November of 2018, I decided that chalo kuch mushkil karna hai. And I basically Googled around and figured out what is like a really difficult thing I can do, because I was like all about improving my mental strength at that point. So I'm like, whatever's the most difficult thing I can do mentally, I will get that done. And by researching a little bit, I thought Ironman's a good thing. And
Okay.
this time I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't even own a cycle at that point. And I was running, but I wasn't like a good runner or like a long distance runner that time either. And November में I figured out about this. December में I found out that Feb में एक होने वाला है.
Uh,
I'm like चलो करते हैं, and I signed up for it. This at this point I haven't swam in, I don't know, probably a decade. I didn't own a cycle. All I did was running. And I'm like 2 महीने की training में चलो करते हैं. And then I don't recommend anyone do this. It's a terrible thing I did, but I did it. My goal wasn't physical fitness; it was mental fitness, so it worked for me. And then 2 महीने की training में किया. Some exactly what 28 or 31 days before my Ironman का actual date, I went and purchased the cycle. And मेरे को gear change करना भी नहीं आता था,
do you
because
actually
these
see your
bikes have this different type of gears. They don't have the normal button wala
yeah,
gear.
yeah,
They have
yeah,
this now.
yeah.
So I
Did you
didn't even know how to
actually
change the gear.
find your mental toughness going up actually after taking this up?
Yes, definitely. But it wasn't still a smart thing for anyone to do. It's good if your goal was as strict as mine to just focus on mental toughness, but I could very well have turned out with a lifelong injury when I did that. I'm lucky I didn't. I had abused my body enough before that I didn't come out with a lifelong injury. But it's a good way for mental toughness, but you very realistically can come out with a bad injury. So I don't
Yeah,
recommend.
I've seen people that, when I say I'm gonna run a marathon or do something like this, they think it's very easy and I just do it with the practice of like let's say 2-3 weeks or a month. Then I would jump into it, then I could do it. But then when I actually go to the actual race, they find out that okay, fine, I don't have enough training to do this.
Hmm.
So people who feel like doing something like this, how do they actually start from scratch, and how do they get to the point where they think, okay, I'm actually ready to do this?
I would suggest for something like a half iron, if you aren't an absolute beginner who's never done any of the sports, give yourself at least a year of rigorous training to build up to that. If you have done even one sport semi long distance, then rigorous training of 6 months you can get there. But I would suggest, from a coach perspective, 6 months to a year minimum. If it's mental toughness, then whenever you have to do it, then it's a different thing altogether.
uh, I'm gonna ask you something about a really interesting thing which I've heard of. That a lot of people say that protein is equal to energy to the body.
Okay.
Must have heard that. I've heard this saying that if you want energy in the body, of course, protein is something which your muscles need. But a lot of people substitute carbohydrates with protein. Like
Hmm.
carbohydrates gives you glycogen. So
Hmm.
they would say that instead of carbohydrates, if you eat protein, your body's gonna get enough energy to go do whatever you feel like doing in the entire day, and
Okay.
they end up neglecting a lot of carbohydrates, and they miss out on essential nutrients like fats also, thinking that if you have carbohydrates and fats, you're gonna get fat. You should only
Hmm.
be eating protein to ensure that your body goes. Of course, protein helps you in losing fat and building muscle, but then people also miss out on major nutrients that's essential for the body.
Okay.
Uh, this debunk that carbohydrates and fats is not good for the body, uh, and how much of carbohydrates and fats one should be taking. I mean, might not be precise ones, but approximate value of how much they can eat.
Okay, I'll give you like two perspectives for this. One is the generic science bolta hai aisa hai. Second is a coach's perspective. So first the science would be like, okay, carbs gives you energy, protein gives you energy, fat gives you energy, all of them give you energy. It's just different type. And it's not key carbs are bad, it's not key fats are bad, and that protein is better. All of them you have to take in a ratio.
Yeah,
Approximately make it something like 40 40 20 percentage base,
40
around
protein, 40
40%
carbs, and
carbs,
20
around 40
fats.
carbs and 20 fats approximately.
Okay.
That protein and carbs in this can go thoda upar niche. Ideally keep protein high, because Indians as a population, we are very low. Our staple diet does not have enough protein
Yeah.
in generally speaking. So by that logic, try keeping the protein slightly higher and try keeping fat at 20 25%, because that's a good starting point. So as you can lose weight like this also. इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because at the end of the day, how you lose weight is calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
If you're eating more than you burn, you're going to put that weight on. If you're burning more than you eat, then you're going to lose some weight from your body.
Yeah.
That's a very simplified version. It gets more complex, but simply put, ऐसा होएगा. Next, coach's perspective. If somebody is starting off eating absolute horse crap all the time, and they are told ki, okay, carbs nikalo, fats nikalo, protein pe concentrate karo. If the starting point is horrible and all they start doing is eating protein, compared to where they're starting from, this is a great new point to reach. It's not a good place, but it's so much better than the starting point that they will see massive results. So the myth is not necessarily true that carbs से energy नहीं मिलेगा, protein से energy मिलेगा. That's not true. But if what your diet right now is, you wake up, I don't know, you eat pancakes with maple syrup, you eat processed foods all the time, chips, uh, bahar ka khana, take out food 10 times a day, whatever, 5 times a day, stuff like that. If you do, then if you just think, okay, carbs are bad, fats are bad, meko protein hi khana, and you start eating protein, you're so far better, you're so better off than where you're starting from, you will see great results. You just went from the worst to not ideal. And then you can move on to good, which is 40 40 20, which I explained. So this is a good starting point. This is a good point in the middle for someone to reach. That is the coach's perspective. Why these? So when I'm making videos and stuff, I always try thinking, ye myth aaya kahan se? Why would this myth become a myth? And in many cases, I try justifying it like that. If someone knows nothing and you have to give them advice in like one line, tell them carbs ganda hai, protein khao.
Okay. Why do you think people don't approach dietitians or nutritionists to understand their body much? Is it because we don't have enough of them, or people think it's really expensive to get one?
We don't have enough good ones, and they are too expensive. Both. The good ones are definitely expensive. Even the bad ones are very often expensive. But the good ones are definitely usually expensive. and we don't even have enough of them, the good ones. So I understand, because when I also started, the reason I came into health, I got certified, was because मेरे gym में the good trainers were charging a lot, and I couldn't afford to hire one of them. And I saw कि certification हो रहा है, certification करना is cheaper for me than hiring a trainer for 2 months. So I'm like, chalo, I might as well get certified myself only so I can train myself. My reason of becoming a trainer was just मेरे को pay नहीं करना है personal trainer को, because the good ones were expensive over there.
Yeah, exactly.
So expense is definitely a huge factor in this. And plus, how do you know if someone's a good one?
Until you don't train with them for a certain while.
Possible, yeah. You don't. It's not easy to figure out who's a good one, who's a bad one. No.
But then the results speak if you're training with the actual one. Proper results.
Maybe not necessarily. You can have, if all you want is okay, fat loss करना है. In the end, if you decide कि calories and calories out है, 6 महीने I can give you a diet of just jalebi morning and night, nothing else.
Okay.
You will still lose weight as long as your calories are low. You will lose muscle. You will lose a lot of stuff. You may get diabetes at the end of it, but you will lose weight. You may have cholesterol issues. You can have a lot of bad things happening to you, but you will lose weight.
Okay, this is
And if
also the thing. Okay, why are we so much obsessed with the exterior body and we forget about the internal functioning, what happens?
that's a question I don't have an answer to. अच्छा दिखता है ना?
I mean, we understand what's the importance of, internal functioning after we have, severe diseases like diabetes or BP or thyroid or whatever it is. For someone who doesn't, after you get it and you understand, okay, this is, I've done wrong. I mean, talk about minute changes you can make. I mean, not necessary you have to bring, like you said, jalebi. I love sweets, but I don't really have it very frequently because I love ice cream also. But it's not that I cannot really have it on a daily basis. But then I do crave for it for sure every single day. And I guess even in your bio, you have written it, I eat ice cream professionally and all this thing. So, how do we stop cravings from certain foods and understand what to eat and when to eat? Do we have any solution for it for people who are trying to figure that out?
For cravings, not really. Cravings होंगे, just keep yourself full eating healthy stuff. So you mean you won't go to the unhealthy stuff for cravings? There's no formula cravings के लिए. It's just थोड़ा तो विल पावर चाहिए उसके लिए, थोड़ा टफनेस चाहिए मेंटली. And you can make it easier by keeping yourself so full with healthy food that अभी खाना ही नहीं है मेरे को कुछ भी और. That's one way you could deal with cravings.
And also, disclaimer, even if you're having healthy food, if you're eating too much of calories and not burning it, you're still going to get fat.
Yeah, definitely.
So people think I'm going to have healthy food as much as I want to, and I can really lose weight. But then when they don't see the results happening, they think, okay, there's something wrong happening here.
That's why the jalebi wala example.
Yeah, simple. Instead of that, you can have two jalebis and just sit down, lay down back, enjoy, just scroll your reels and everything. Uh, and one more thing, which I've seen this documentary on Netflix called Game Changers. I don't know if you watched it or not, but then it went viral. After that, people start talking about vegan versus meat. Meat is bad, vegan is good. Uh, Keeping aside the climate change aspects and the cruelty aspects, do you really think people who are consuming vegan foods actually get the nutrients that the body require on a daily basis? Especially people are into daily workouts and sports persons.
If you educate yourself and you know how much you're supposed to eat, then yeah, why not?
Okay, there's
Vegan that
also
way.
one thing that I've seen that chicken has vitamin B12, which the plants don't have. So if I don't get enough nutrients, vitamins, whatever it is from plants, is it okay for me to take supplements,
Yeah, of
vitamin
course. Why
supplements?
wouldn't you take supplements? Even doesn't matter if it's plants or meat, it doesn't matter. If you take vitamin D3, for example, there's a huge shortage of D3 in the world population pretty much.
Yeah.
And D3 you could get by food, but you don't get by food very easily, the amounts you want at least, in most places in the world. And same with omega-3. If you take omega-3, fatty fish has it. But most of the world does not eat enough fatty fish on a daily basis to get omega-3. So you have to supplement it. Now, it doesn't matter if you're vegan or not. Some supplements, if you have to take, you have to take. So you could be vegan. It doesn't matter. There'll be a couple of deficiencies. B12, D3, for example. You supplement it. You need to know what to do. That way you take any Tom, Dick or Harry from anywhere and you will see कि वो vegan नहीं है, वो meat खाते हैं, but उनके पास 100 deficiencies है. Why? Because they eat like crap. The problem is not vegan or non-vegan. The problem is eating like crap. You can eat like crap being a hardcore non-vegetarian. You can eat like crap being a hardcore vegan also. Problem in the end is eating like crap.
There's also this thing going around that, this fasting, intermittent fasting. I'm gonna fast. Uh, People are doing this primarily again to lose weight, not to understand the benefits of it. And myself being a long distance runner, I've seen my runs getting better after I start fasting. Because my hormones started to change, my body started to change in a different way, and it's responding in a different way. Uh, Again, primarily we see fasting the key to lose weight, lose fat, not to get better. Uh, could you just elaborate the reasons why fasting is good for the body and why everyone should do it? And is it really meant that everyone could do it?
I'm not informed enough about fasting. I haven't studied that topic deeply, so I don't really know the answer to that. I just know fasting. I know the basic idea of fasting and why it does usually help people lose weight. And that is normally if you have to eat, for example, 2000 calories, and if you're fasting and you only have like 5 hours to eat, eating 2000 calories in 5 hours is difficult for most people. That's huge meals you have to eat in a very short amount of time to reach 2000 calories. So that way calorie deficit करना उसमें easier हो जाता है. I know only this aspect of fasting. Rest fasting ka benefits I'm not aware of. I've never studied that topic. Not in a way that I would like to talk about it. I know bare bones of it.
Okay, I have a very, it's a personal question also that I've been researching a lot about, barefoot workouts, barefoot running, and all this stuff. And I'm actually planning to transition into barefoot running and stuff. Um, can anyone who's working out, like it could be any form of workouts, let's say I'm into strength training, can I really transition into barefoot workouts? And what are the pros and cons of it?
So again, barefoot is not something I have studied a lot on, but I do know that bare feet is far more difficult on your ankle and your feet than wearing shoes because cushioning goes away and your body has to take that impact. And because we wear shoes all the time or something all the time, the muscles over there are not developed enough to handle that much load. So when you do transition, you have to give yourself a long time to transition slowly and steadily. So if today you can run 42 kilometers wearing shoes, if you want to transition into running 42 kilometers bare feet, ideally give yourself 12 to 18 months to transition because that's the additional amount of load your body will take. Now, the benefits of it and all of that, I don't know much. I just know you will strengthen the muscles you use more. So you do get stronger feet by doing it. And the same with strength training. In strength training, it matters lesser because very often when you're lifting weights, you anyways don't need cushioning. You just need stability.
Yeah.
And people's feet aren't that stable. So once you stabilize your feet and you can balance properly, if you're doing a heavy squat wearing those very hard sole wala shoes, usse stability milta hai. You won't trip or fall. You won't twist your ankle inside outside. But if you're completely new at it, give yourself a good amount of time to transition because that's a muscle we just don't use. We never use that muscle. because we have thick layer of cushioning all the time.
That's a very good point. I'll definitely consider this for sure. And for anyone, uh, with respect to whatever it is, uh, sleep is a very main aspect for anyone. With respect to whether you work out, you don't, or whatever it is. Uh, Give me some tips of how someone could sleep better and faster when they actually go into the bed instead of scrolling those Instagram reels or just checking out some random stuff. How someone can actually sleep much faster and better.
This is a topic I know a good amount of because I have studied this a decent bit. And I have a very strict sleep schedule. So basically, I sleep at 9:30 every night,
Yeah,
plus minus 15 minutes probably. And I wake up at 4:30 every morning, plus minus 15-20 minutes.
yeah,
So the best tips I can give, first, have a sleep schedule where you wake up and you sleep and wake up at approximately the same time every day, regardless of it being the weekend. It doesn't matter. Wake up and sleep at the same time. That way, your body, the circadian rhythm understands कि अच्छा ये time तक सोना है, ये time तक जगना है. So it will adjust to that over a couple of weeks or couple of months. So falling asleep at that time will get simpler. Waking up at that time will get simpler. Whatever the timing is, that's up to you. This way you can improve your sleep quality. Second is ideally have a pitch black room at a good temperature. Pitch black, and I mean pitch black. I have many people use curtain जिससे आधा light आता है. They'll have lights in their background on sometimes. या charger है, charger के ऊपर LED है, which is bright enough. AC का light है, and AC का light is keep putting light in the room. There are many ways light leaks into your room. So if you make your room absolutely pitch black, that will improve your sleep significantly. And साथ में ideal temperature थोड़ा ठंडा रखो, but that's not possible for everyone because depending on where you stay, you'll have to keep the AC on or the heater on the entire night, which is not possible for everyone. Third would be 45 minutes, ideally an hour before you sleep, zero screens, like no screen whatsoever, because that messes quite severely with your sleep schedule, with your circadian rhythm. So if you just do these three things, you will see a day and night difference in your sleep quality. 7 घंटे का, if you have only 7 hours to sleep, you will feel like you slept for 9 hours if you do these three things regularly for some time. एक दिन के अंदर कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. Do it for a couple of weeks, do it for a month or two, and you will see a night and day difference sleep quality improvement में.
and I'll just tell the audience that when it comes to sleep, Shubh is someone you have to definitely take advice from because uh, on his Instagram, whenever he puts up his first story, it is around 5:30, if I'm not wrong. 5:30 is the first story he actually puts up. He puts up his, pre-workout meals like coffee, a few biscuits, and then he starts his day by a bit of workout and everything. Uh, but you know, people say quantity and quality of sleep is different. Let's say I've slept for 6 hours, and some people say, okay, even if I do not have a good quality sleep, if I sleep till 8 hours, my body is going to do okay, well, fine. So, why do you like how does the body work when you sleep, and why is that quality of sleep actually matters? What happens when you sleep? Even if you don't get 8 and if you get like 6, why that quality matters instead of that quantity sometimes? Of course, I agree that sometimes you need 6 to 8 hours, but why quality of sleep really, really matters for your internal
First off, 6 to 8
functioning and
hours तो
everything?
चाहिए ही चाहिए. Ideally touch 8 hours.
Yeah.
Ideally, the more you sleep, generally the better for most people. So इसमें quantity should be maximized as much as your schedule allows. It should be a priority for you to maximize it. Then quality में क्या होता है? Lots of things happen in your body. Your body repairs itself, your brain repairs itself, your hormones do a lot of things in your body, too many to state. The bad things are removed from your body, repair is done, replacement is done, and same in the brain. Like a lot of repair and replacement in the brain happens too. So you there are X number of sleep cycles you need to go through to let all of that happen in a good way, in a way that is sufficient for your body. And someone who's exercising a lot more, or someone who's under a lot of mental stress because of work, because of studies, any reason, you have that much more damage you have to clear. So you need that much more sleep and that much better sleep. Now, if your quality if I come, then if you scroll your phone endlessly until you fall asleep, then the first cycle will be very disrupted for you. You won't fall asleep and go into the deep stages of sleep as well as you should, as quickly as you should, for as long as you should. It will just be very disrupted the entire night. As opposed to if you prepare yourself to sleep, if you treat sleep like exercise and you warm up for your sleep by keeping a good, or by keeping the room pitch black, by sleeping and waking up at the same time, and by not looking at any screen an hour before you sleep, then you just after a good warm up, your body performs better in exercise. Similarly, treat this like a warm up you have to do so that your body sleeps better and repairs itself well. If you don't sleep enough, or if your sleep quality is compromised, then your body just won't repair itself the way it's supposed to. So you will wake up fatigued. You will wake up with pain in the body sometimes, because body recover nahi kar saka. Exercise you could earlier do very easily and recover overnight. If your sleep quality has gone down, now you can't recover in the same amount of exercise, because वो repair हुआ ही नहीं ना, इतना time ही नहीं मिला repair करने के लिए.
Okay, and I was reading this article somewhere where it says if your body is flexible enough, you get really better at your workouts, whatever workout you do.
You get
Uh,
very,
if you're very flexible enough,
then what
uh,
happens? You
you get better at your workouts.
better. Okay.
So, how do you think that's something, you know, very important? If it's important, that how can we, what we could be doing, like you do pre and post workout stretches, is that enough a bit to increase the flexibility or the mobility of the body?
It depends what your goal is for mobility and flexibility. If you want to, if you're a general population, if you go to it, you have a general 8 hours, 10 hours desk job, or you're a student or anything like that, then you don't need a crazy amount of mobility or flexibility. You don't need to be able to take your foot over here or anything like that. You don't need to do that. You could, but you don't need to. It's not useful for you particularly. So उतना training में आराम से हो जाएगा. But if you want to like do splits, you want to vertical splits, ये सब करना है, then you have to train for flexibility like you train for anything else.
Yeah.
So that will pre and post is enough based on your goal. अगर your goal is something very high, then और time and effort डालना पड़ेगा. If your goal is कि अच्छा I should have a general amount of flexibility and mobility, I can touch my toes, I can stretch my hamstring without it hurting, ये सब करना है, then pre and post is more than enough. 10 minutes before and after, more than enough.
Fine. I'll end this conversation with one main question that I want to ask. I especially kept this question to the last because excluding sleep, what is the best form of recovery that one could have?
Diet.
Okay. And
Just
anything else? Like excluding diet and sleep, what are the best options that you could have to enhance your muscles?
diet and sleep is like 90% of your recovery, 95% of your recovery.
Yeah.
इसके बाद जो भी you will do will give you tiny gains. Like foam rolling, for example, that's something I do very
Yeah, I
regularly.
wanted to ask this.
Help.
People actually take up different recovery options, what's your thought on those? They spend a lot of money on those and they try getting good recovery. What do you think about these things?
So as I said, if assuming sleep and diet is 90% of your recovery and everything else comes in 10%, then even if you do your sleep and diet somewhat good, you will reach 80% of the way. And even if you do foam rolling, ice bath, infrared stuff, you do it perfectly. Like perfectly, I mean perfectly, the maximum benefits you can get is like 10%. As opposed to diet and recovery, which even diet and sleep, which you can get 80-90%. So you can do those if you have already optimized your diet and sleep. Then those will help for the last 10%.
Yeah.
It's like saying कि मेरे को भागने में I can't run 5 kilometers और मेरे को वो नाइकी के वो 25,000 के जूते चाहिए क्योंकि उसमें 4% इम्प्रूवमेंट होता है भागने में. अरे 5 किलोमीटर भाग ले पहले. It's basically that. You are not someone who can benefit only from that. You can't do anything. It's like cricket खेलना है, I will buy the most expensive bat. But you don't know how to swing it, then what will you do with the most expensive bat? It comes to that level. If you're already so good that your bat is stopping you from improving, then go get the bat. It's at that. It's you can compare it to that. All these things work. No doubt they work because the pros do it. But the pros do it because their diet and sleep is top notch. You or I can't get benefit from that. They can get benefit from that.
Okay, so with this, we'll end this conversation here. So definitely, I'll get back you once more. We have to keep recording more stuff like this for the audience. I'll link Shubh's Instagram and YouTube channel in the description. Do check it out for more great content from him. Thank you so much.